because they are playing CSGO the way that CSGO needs to be played. If you are going to go through, they have the individual talent, just like Liquid have the individual talent. What sets them apart? It's how they play the game, well, and they are unmatched in that department.
That's a very ballsy thing to say, right? Because what is the right way of playing Counter-Strike? We've seen throughout the years that
it's not trying to chase exit frags with an op alone from the rest of your team.
Well, there you go.
It's not trying to take, it's not paying attention to economy, taking high percentage situations. I don't know. For me, that's kind of like winning Counter-Strike.
You're not as dumb as you look, but the problem.
I'll take that as a compliment.
And you should. The problem is, we've seen over the years, you've seen many teams, play different versions of Counter-Strike. When LDLC were the best team in the world, it was in one way. When Fnatic, they owned everything and everyone. It was sort of like Liquid did it last year, with individual skill, just running around. There was not necessarily a big plan ahead, Obviously, they knew what they were doing, but it was not the Astralis way. I believe you can play Counter-Strike in many different ways. If you win, you're doing it the right way. But when Liquid was the best team in the world, when they won the Instant Grand Slam and when they were unbeatable, basically, they were playing Counter-Strike as it was supposed to play in that era. Simple as it is. So if you're winning, you have the last say.
So we're going to go deeper than this. It's on era now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Based on this meta.
I think it's like a philosophical discussion, right? I mean,
we're going to get deep here.
Counter-Strike can go crazy, and you have players who bend the rules. Let's say Simple, for example. He will sometimes not make the best choice, but it doesn't matter because the ability he has, he can win the round anyway. But I do believe that in any given situation, there is a best course of action. That is my philosophy when it comes to Counter-Strike. Any clutch, any round, there is one way that has highest percentages of possibility to win the round. That's how I see it.
This is a very Swiss take.
That is a very rational way. Counter-Strike is like 4D chess, right? You have 5 players, limited amount of resources, a limited space. You cannot fly. There are rules, like a universe with rules and methods. There is always a best way to go about. But the beauty about Counter-Strike
too far ahead of ourselves. We are going to take a very short commercial.
For a lot of teams that have had the success that you've had historically, it's hard to keep it ongoing. How do you keep that fire alive?
Here we are at the last Pro Series, Sao Paulo.
Of course, he goes down. Device, so powerful, an ace.
Team Liquid versus Astralis.
Decided to play the final here with an amazing crowd. A stellar shot from Zipix, a two-piece. Astralis continue to just outclass Liquid here. Nobody can touch these guys. They are not on another level. They are on another planet. Miami, it is a damn pleasure to be standing here amidst you. Astralis down to just Dupree, and FaZe could very realistically be putting them in the coffin.
The question mark coming into this event was who will meet Astralis in the grand final.
Everything was just not clicking, people misunderstanding each other.
They have been eliminated.
Spain, we love you!
Right now, Astralis is still called them the best team in the world.
He's ready for it. Another one for the pre-dive to the grand final.
They are undefeated this year.
Okay, that's mad.
My God, there is no way they can pass this position. Is this how it ends, Dan? Looking to collect the bomb. We've got Electric beat by Oil, and that's
it. It is time for Blast Copenhagen to kick off.
12,000 people all rooting for one team. No matter what happens today with Astralis, it's
the experience walking in here, you kind of forget all the bad things.
Simple doesn't know what's happening.
He got it again!
It's going down!
It's got the whole arena on their feet.
There it is!
Lord, he's tossed them up into the air.
For Copenhagen standoff winners, Astralis!
I don't think I've had to develop a personality. I think Counter-Strike is my personality.
we're being watched. I want everyone to be careful. It's Microsoft.
The amount of jaw-dropping moments that we get in each and every game, you feel something very unique inside of the arena.
You can't really imagine that a video game online can draw that kind of emotion from so many people, but it actually can.
My name is Jason Moses O'Toole.
Chad Sponge Birchall.
Christine Potter-Chi, and I'm an analyst for Counter-Strike Go.
Game time?
Yep.
2, 3.
Oh.
I don't do anything else. It's a little bit of a sad existence. I don't really prioritize time off.
Your notebook's looking really good to film right now.
Oh shit. Hold up, sorry, let me write something. Mint vid.
Very important.
Mint.
She's being recognised for her
Vid.
achievements.
You take notes, and then the camera zooms in, and we're playing Hangman.
My time off is when I go home and then try and play CS. So it's one of those weird things where I think you have to live and breathe Counter-Strike considering how busy our schedules are to get the most out of it.
I like how you make it seem like you're working when the camera's on.
I just make it seem like I'm working on them on the analyst desk too, so I'm pretty good at that.
The preparation I do for events is actually quite extensive now. I think before my hobby was and is to watch video games just on the side in my free time anyway, but a lot of the traveling that I've been doing lately, it's really tough to keep up with the games and the broadcasts.
I do enough events to where I don't have to like sit down and grind stats for hours, and you kind of pick up that knowledge as you go at casting at other events and everything like that. So I do so many events that my prep has kind of gone down, but you know, all the knowledge is somehow still there. They let him slip away, and Astralis is always going to maximize on that. So we're going to have to do a break, and we'll be right back.
We did it.
Moses, how's that game for you?
It was awesome. It was all good up until the end when things got ugly, but that was a fun game to cast.
Esports as a whole, I don't really get into the other games. I just play Counter-Strike. When people ask me what I do for fun, it's play Counter-Strike.
I think it's the most beautiful esport we have out there in terms of how the mixture of strategy that goes into it on a team scale.
Counter-Strike at face value is the easiest game to understand. It's a 5v5 game with a very easy solution of who's winning and losing, right? But it's also very nuanced, the strategy of it, the little details, and that's the bit that I like, the fact that I get to express that to a viewer at home. And if I can make them understand a little bit that gets me excited about the game, then that's my goal at the end of the day.
So my journey into this position is kind of, I guess, pretty generic. I was a Counter-Strike player for a very long time, and I kind of naturally fell into it.
I started out as a player once upon a time, a long time ago, and just kind of fell into this as a hobby, and it eventually turned into a career path.
An analyst can be anybody. I used to be a professional Counter-Strike player, and I take pride in that fact, the way that I talk about the game, the experiences that I have. When I went professional in like 2008, it was off the back of, you know, lots of hours playing until 2 o'clock in the morning during high school and then sleeping during economics, and my family really not enjoying that fact. When I was a kid in high school, I wasn't the most popular, but Counter-Strike actually made me feel like myself.
Eventually you bring your parents to an event. And I don't think it ever clicks in until they come into an arena and see what it's like to actually be here and see how similar it is to going to, you know, a basketball game or a football game that they would have gone to with their family when they were children.
Right now, I'm kind of burnt out at the moment. Especially, I think, because in the beginning of the day, you're so hyped and like all your adrenaline's rushing and like my heart is pounding along with everyone else in the crowd. So then
for me to be involved in Counter-Strike all the time, that's what I want to do, and that's what I love.
I think it's very, very important that we have these events inside of arenas, inside of, you know, studios or wherever it is, because, you know, until then, you're just, you know, sitting at home on your computer, and it does kind of feel like a little bit like the stereotype. Once you start bringing it inside to arena, I think that's what changes it from, you know, just playing a video game to turning it into a competitive sport, and that's the biggest leap forward that you can take in esports.
We're ruining this video. I know. That's a sabotage. Yeah.
And there we have them, Astralis, clearly the team to beat in this tournament after their performance so far. They have looked indomitable. They look so confident. They're even laughing their way through. I just saw Glaive tweeting, guess you'll never guess which maps we're playing in the finals. I mean, clearly Astralis right now are feeling very much in their element. And they're looking at it. I mean, look at it. They're looking loose. They're looking good.
Now, I'd like to be a fly and just be able to hear what they say before a grand final. I think that would be great content.
But even if you could hear it, they're speaking Danish, you wouldn't understand.
I would understand, actually. I could, if they speak a little bit slowly, I could get my way around. I mean, Norwegian, Danish. But when they go rap go, that's it. I'm out. There's no way I can do.
Even Danes can't understand Danes.
No?
You cannot understand each other?
Yeah, we do.
There is that. Did you see that one, Cameloso?
Yeah,
Cameloso?
Oh, that's classic.
No, that has nothing to do with it. No idea what that is. Anyway, I think you're right when you're saying Astralis is a happy team right now. And you know why?
Why?
This is the last time this year we're going to see these two teams at a tournament together. We see the bracket right here. It started out with FaZe Clan taking on NIP. That was a big disappointment for the FaZe Clan guys. They lost 2-0 to a well-playing NIP. Then they progressed to play Astralis, who beat Team Liquid in that first game. Let's not dwell too much about that. I'm sure we're going to talk about that later. NIP, they stood no chance against Astralis, which means Astralis booked a place in the final. And NIP today against Liquid, yes, they show glimmers of potential, but beating Liquid, nah, never really the case.
I think it was in the realm of possibilities, especially when you think about that second map, Mirage, 16-14, the clutches, we've talked about it. NIP could have pushed Liquid to a third map, but it makes sense. Liquid, Astralis. You know, I think we had the best of every possible universe today, because not only in this tournament did we have upset, obviously, NIP, you know, beating in FaZe, we didn't see that come in. We have the grand final that we wanted. We've had close maps. We had no boring Counter-Strike all week. I've had fun every day. So it's like, I feel like it's Christmas, right? Only good games, upsets, the grand final that you want. I'm just enjoying life right now.
You're so happy.
Yeah,
I am. So I'm actually really happy.
But it's actually a little infectious, you know, because
that's how it's supposed to be.
Just looking at look at the sparkle in your eye, that smile. Now my heart's getting all warm and tingly, and I'm just like, okay, we're gonna get some.
For
good
whatever reason,
Counter-Strike.
you turn me off completely. So doesn't work for me.
Damn it.
For me.
It's because I live in Sweden.
Yeah, probably.
All right, so so what are we focusing on going into this? Because we didn't actually get any camera shots of Liquid right now. They looked a little bit more tense during the pick ban on Liquid's side. I'm wondering if we're going to get to see them a little bit just to see the body language, because Astralis, body language, confident, clear, looking solid. And while here's Astralis now, these are the 5, so you get their names, their positions, and the roles that they will be playing. And yes, they all are 5 from Denmark.
Yeah, they have no reason not to be comfortable, right? And confident for that matter as well. They already beat Team Liquid once, as I said before, and they did it on the exact same maps we're going to see transpire in this grand final. Some of these players that you see on your screen right now are playing a great tournament. Dupree, for example, having one of the best showings we've seen in quite some time from him. Glaive, you know, rock solid as always as the in-game leader, making some great calls. Subnix, despite being sick the first 2 days, just talked to him. He's feeling much better now, so that's a good sign for them as well. He's playing some decent Counter-Strike. There's one player, though, that I will allow myself to be a little critical towards, and that is Device. He is one of the best players in the world and potentially in the conversation for being the best player in the world. He's not playing up to the level we know we can right now. By saying that, I'm not saying he's playing bad Counter-Strike. He's still, you know, somewhat decent and definitely better than any of us would do on a server, but
I could take him on.
He can be much, much better, and I would love to see that, Maniac. I would
we can all dream. We can all dream.
Not in any universe. Listen, out of these 5 players, they're all in the top 8 of the tournament.
The thing is, even in your dreams, you know when you have those dreams where you're powerless, right? You know, even in your dreams, Maniac, you like to think that in your dreams you'd be beating Device, but every shot would be missing, or you'd be shooting rubber bullets, and Device is just charging at you with an op. There he is.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of dreams, I had a dream last night. I was actually casting the final of the major, and everyone was laughing at me. That was a terrible nightmare.
Whoa.
That was one of these, you know, when in a class and you don't have pens on. I felt a little bit like that in my dream.
Also completely unrealistic.
I would never, obviously. But, you know, you talk about
the laugh
dreams.
of you casting a major final? I can't grasp
no, I cannot even imagine.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to go into the depths of Maniac's mind. I mean, he's named Maniac for a reason.
Right.
You got Zipnix on your screen, though, and he is looking healthy. He is looking hale. So we have him to look forward to, and he is actually one of my favorite players of all time to watch. The level of CS that he plays, it comes back to our conversation previous, just such smart CS.
Absolutely. Xipnix, if you guys, you're home, you play the same position, he is probably the best role model you could possibly have. When it comes to the decisions he makes, how he plays. Let's take, for example, Ramp on you, because we're going to see that map today. Yeah. He will almost always make the right decision. He will know when to be aggressive. He'll know when to back down. The use of his utility is absolutely perfect. Whenever he gets the advantage in the clutch, he will go back. And let's talk about his 1v1, 1v2, 1v3, right? Always seems like he's one step ahead. He's like in the matrix. He coded Counter-Strike. He knows how it works. He's just a miracle to watch in clutches.
Well, I do agree with you, and I think Sibnix by far is if not the best support player in the world, but definitely up there, right? Constantly in the conversation. He makes a lot of clutches. Overall, he's just a rock-solid player, a great communicator as well. If you gotta play the devil's advocate just a little bit, sometimes he's predictable. He always makes the right decision. So if you are his opponent, you know that, like if he
I see where you're going with this.
That's a Rick and Morty twist.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like
clever.
Sometimes when you always do the right thing, you know, it would be nice to see Sibnix just let loose. You know, maybe do the irrational thing just one or few times during a matchup, and he could probably pull it off, right? Because he's a great player. 5 years ago, when I was playing against him, he used to be a star player. He used to be a carry.
And exactly, that's the thing.
He was a fragger. He was a Dupree kind of guy or a Magix kind of guy who just go out there and just rip heads of everyone. So he definitely has the skill set to do so. Sometimes I would just like to see Sibnix let loose a little bit, and I think we would have, you know, the complete player in Counter-Strike, which is a very... You got to be careful with saying that word because they don't really exist, right? But I think Sibnix is damn close.
Do you think it also has something to do with the positions he plays? Because I feel like when you're an anchor like Zip, you play a position with very, very high responsibility.
Sure.
Some positions, they will allow you that leeway to be a little bit more crazy, to be a bit more aggressive, because even if you fall, maybe you have a teammate behind you that's securing the round. Maybe someone's going to give you a flash to go for the aggression. Zip is very autonomous in the position he plays. So if you go for the big risk, let's say ramp again, you go radio, you die alone, suddenly that's it, the B side is done. So I think it comes also to positions. He has to leverage all the decisions he makes.
Well, there is actually one player that we were discussing a little bit before we got into the break and the shenanigans, and that was Device. And it has been talked about a little bit in the past. I mean, they brought Dupree, nice try. It was another D, but Device.
Double D.
There he is. But, you know, Thorin actually just released an article, I can't remember if it was today or yesterday, excellent stuff on like approaching the idea of how Device could be that complete player, like that player that you absolutely want on your team. I mean, he does, in a way, do it all, as well as being that excellent support player for the team itself in terms of a teammate. And so, I mean, we had some focus on Device going into this finals. Do you think that's still going to be the key here for Astralis? It
will always be the key for Astralis' success to have a guy like Device on the lineup. Obviously, every single member of this Astralis camp is vital to the teamwork, vital to the lineup. I don't think you could replace anyone with basic, like even let's say that you replace Sibnix with Simple. The Astralis would like 100% get worse off, you know, even though you bring in the best player and more skill to the lineup, it just wouldn't work. There would be that lack of synergy. Device is a guy, as you said, he does it all and he does it to a very high level. His consistency is unheard of, you know, the fact that you can play on such a high level, you know, in so many big games throughout the years and always deliver is very impressive. Let's not forget when Astralis had the down period, when they weren't winning tournaments, when people were complaining about them skipping tournaments, the one constant within Astralis, the one player that always showed up at the tournaments that never really played bad was Device. So the fact that he's had 1 or 2 tournaments where he hasn't been up to the, you know, the Device-ish level is not necessarily a bad thing. Allow the man to have some time off, allow the man to be human just once or twice, and I promise you he'll be back to, you know, as you called him, maybe the perfect player in Counter-Strike.
Yeah, and I would even add to that, that to me, he's the culmination of professional player, right? Not only as a player, because we know the impact he has on the server, but I think when you listen to his interviews and when you think about how he's evolved as a person, right? Because we used to talk about Device as a potential choker, right? In some very high-profile game, he would disappear. That is not the case anymore. Device is always here. I think the way he maintains, you know, his health, how he goes about the game, that is something that he had pushed. I mean, obviously helped by Astralis and the support net that they have around them, but he's a great example for that.
But he is actually one of those players as well who has had to overcome trials and difficulty, especially regarding the health, right? Christopher Getright is another one of those players who still powers through for his team and has those kinds of performances despite the health issues. Device was going through a while there where he was having acid reflux and it was just tearing him up. He couldn't even really keep any food down. So, I mean, not only is he able to play for the team, but he's able to get over that and still excel.
You know, one of the most impressive things about Device, and it's easy for me to say, right, it's not necessarily only him on the server. We can always agree that he's a great player, potentially one of the best. He has an enormous skill set that he can always apply in the game. But I know Device from when he was 15 years old. He was very much like me, you know, a little kid who didn't always, you know, did the right thing and, you know, basically very immature, like we all were in that age. Ever since that time, you know, every single year that he's been playing Counter-Strike, he's just matured and matured and matured. And the fact that he was able to go through those health issues, you know, and still keep it, you know, mentally in the game, still be able to be one of the best players consistently, despite, as you said, struggling with health issues, is something that deserves such a high compliment, you know, such high praises, because I believe it's very, very tough. And the guy on the screen right here, he is one of the most professional players in the world, and he is, in fact, potentially even the best player in the world when everything is added up.
Well, he's an absolute monster, but now we need to focus on their opponents because equally deserving of praise. I mean, Liquid are just absolute monsters in their own right, in the running for best team of the year as well as Astralis. It's really the head-to-head rivalry that has developed between these two teams, but this lineup right now of these 5 players, one could argue that they have it all as well.
They do, right? And I think they are in a very challenging position in terms of the teams and their destiny, right? They were, and again, they were at the top of the mountain. They won the Intel Grand Slam in a record time, winning so many tournaments in a row. I think it was 5 or 6, 4 of them being Intel Grand Slam. At that point, everyone is just praising them, and then suddenly they fly too close to the sun, like Icarus, and they burn down, and they go back, and then they have to bounce again. And I think talking to...
That's why you can't have vacation. You take too much sun, and then that's it. You're done.
Yeah, that's
all your CSGO skills.
The only conclusion. Don't take vacations. No, but it's great to see them being on that path, and I think they are slowly but surely finding a new breath in how they approach the game, how they feel. That being said, there are still some weaknesses individually. We see players show on and off. Maybe Stewie's going to have a good game. The next one is not going to be here. I think they suffer a little bit to find that consistency, but still, second best team in the world.
Without a doubt. I mean, without a doubt. I think Team Liquid has still, you know, one of the most skilled lineups in the world. I think you could argue maybe Evil Geniuses is up there in terms of raw skill on the server whenever they face each other. But you have so many great players, so many players, as you said, who can step it up at any given time and basically take over an entire game. And I like to always think about it like this. If you look towards a lineup and you think to yourself, all right, I'm looking at Team Liquid right now, the worst player, the guy that is supposed to perform the worst is Nitro, right? A guy that has an enormous amount of talent, a guy that is, you know, 3 years ago, before he became an in-game leader, he was a star player for his team. And if he's supposed to be the worst player on a lineup, you know you're in a good position. So yes, Liquid, they have been struggling. Yes, that break didn't do them anything good, and that's, you know, another fun story when you look at these two teams. Astralis took a break as well, and they didn't necessarily come out of that one good either, but they fought back, and they're now at a level where you once again will call them the best in the world. Now for Liquid, it looks like they're on the way back, and the guy on the screen right here as well, Elise, performing some outstanding Counter-Strike.
Well, he's hitting a level, but it's certainly the mentality, and I touched on this a little bit earlier when we got that interview with Elise, but it's the mentality of a pro. That's what Elise was showing in that interview in terms of you don't even allow the visualization to enter your mind of you losing. You're thinking in the terms of winning. When we beat Astralis later, when we take that win, it's never, oh, it's going to be a fight, and oh, they're good. It's like, no. You never acknowledge that, and in your mind, you don't even let the chance of coming through that you could lose. It's, we are winning this. And I think that's key to getting into those situations to actually take the trophies home with you.
And that's somewhat similar to what Device did with his career, right? He matured a lot over the years, and now he's considered to be one of the best. I think Elise is on the same path. I spoke to Adrian coming into this tournament a lot, actually. We talked about John and how he was in a team, and the way he described him was, you know, to a guy that has played with him, you know, somewhat surprising to me. He's very calm, you know, he's constantly trying to be a good teammate, constantly trying to help out the team, sometimes even sacrificing his own level in order to accommodate the team, you know, and that's not the guy that I knew when I was playing with him. That was a guy that was, I believe he was 18 years old or something like that, and he wanted to be the best at whatever price it cost. I think he still has that desire. I still think he has the potential to be the best player in the world, but now he also realized he has to do it with a team, right? He has a team that needs to facilitate him, and I think just the realization of that and the fact that he has matured so much has made John such a much more effective player, and I really do admire that.
Yeah, and that would be the final evolution for Elise, right? Because when you think about him, mechanically speaking, one of the most gifted player you could ever find in Counter-Strike. His ability to win duels is beyond almost anyone that is playing on a server right now, as it is. Now, psychologically speaking, being a good teammate, being always on top of your game, always able to give that 100%, that might be you know, the 1%, let's say the 1% that separates him right now from being an exceptional player to the best player in the world.
No, I was just chiming in, Maniac. I mean, you've actually literally studied this, this topic.
I've studied a little bit.
Put a little bit into it.
I had to put some time into...
Masters, was it?
Yeah. Masters,
right.
We talk about it all the time.
I expect to have a segment in the future where Maniac breaks down the the psychological makeup of a team. This is where they could work more. This is why, you know, come on.
I mean,
I'm setting it up for you, man. You just got to like knock it down.
That's what's so phenomenal about Counter-Strike is that when you think about a performance, there are so many dimensions that comes into play. It's not only about just sitting, taking the keyboard, the mouse, and going in. You have to handle so many challenges at one time to perform when need be. We are talking about a grand final, 350K on the line, the title at the global finals, possibly, you know, that huge rivalry between these two teams. You put that all together, and suddenly you ask your player, listen, I need you to give the 150% now. That's not easy. We think it's easy. We want to think it's easy as spectators, as analysts. We want to see them perform all the time. But can you imagine how much work needs to be put in order to always perform when need be? That's insane.
Just a quick note on that, right? Look at the age of some of these players, right? These are young guys. I myself feel old within this industry, and I'm 24 years old, which sounds kind of ridiculous to say, right?
Deep.
I'm sorry. I had to put it out right.
Deep down in my heart.
Stewie 2K, he's 21 years old. I think Elise right now is 20 years old, and he has to, as you said, he has to accommodate all that pressure and still perform in such a young age. because it requires so much more than people think at home. And I know there's people out there, who probably are in the good 30s, 40s out there, and they may not realize that, but these guys are super, super young, and they have to handle a lot of pressure, not only on the server, but also from the fans and basically people's expectations out there. So you got to give them some credit for being able to do that as well on such a consistent basis.
Well, if we want to go down this path, it's even more impressive in terms of esports, because it's not like these guys, like with regular sports, where you've been competing since you're 3, 4 years old, and you've been weeded out, and you know what it is to lose, you know what it is to win. You've been in that environment for your entire life, essentially, leading up to this moment when you're 18, 19, and competing on the world stage. Some of these guys may not have even been competing in the, tournaments for like 3 years, 4 years. They're just getting into it. It's nothing compared to the formation of athletes. And so this is where we're striving to get with esports. And so these guys, I mean, they're living on the cutting edge right now. So talk about pressure of public eye, competing on a stage. It's crazy what they go through.
It is, and I mean, if you do the comparison with sports, right? They are rather one of the first generation to go through that in esports. If you compare to football or any other sports, they have learned through the years as to how you should behave as a professional, what is good for you, what should be, the ethics in terms of work, health, the staff around is very much evolved and complete. In esports, we are still in our fresh years. We are learning, we're making mistakes about how to go about the travel. We talk about the pressure on the players. They burn out, sometimes they feel uncomfortable. We are still learning on how to be professionals. They are the first, or rather we were, but that was a long time. Our calendar was a little bit more chilled than their one. But they are the first.
Once upon a time, we were home for weeks between.
We used to be home,
man,
right?
that next LAN, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's going to be sick.
I was like, I have 4 days at home. Let's make the best out of these 4 days.
You got 4 days at home.
No, but that could be their situation,
you're lucky, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's not even talk about it. Some guys are just masochists like a sponge. 3 months and running. All right. We have 2 players here on our screens right now. We're bouncing back and forth for a reason, because we want to take a look at the head-to-head matchup between these two, Magisk and Elige. In terms of statistics, Elige has a bit of the edge going into this, but Magisk is also just a heavy hitter for Astralis.
And let me set the scene for you, Matthew, right? We have Magic's boy, a guy that was the MVP of a major throughout the year, a guy that is really involved into being a very, very, very important player for Astralis, a guy that is playing some solid Counter-Strike and some very consistent Counter-Strike. He's going up against Elige, a guy that we talked about before, potentially one of the best players in the world, apart from one thing that is holding him back, and that is his performances against the big teams.
Yeah, absolutely. If you allow me to go a little bit deep in the numbers, that's something
Please do.
I like
That's what you're here for.
So here's the story with Elige. In terms of rating, he is the best rated player in Liquid. That's just how it is. Past 3 months, 1.20. That is a very high number, ladies and gentlemen. But what I did is I went back to 2019 in total, and I looked at all the games between Liquid and Astralis. And the truth is, Elige is only 1.04. So what I take from that is that the style that Astralis plays against Liquid, it doesn't allow him for the duels. Elige, his ability, again, I will come back to this. He's a mechanically gifted player. If you do a mistake against Elige, if you peek against Elige, you're dead in the next 0.2 seconds. That's how it works. But Astralis, because they play the maximum, because they play the odds, they don't allow that kind of mistakes to happen. Elige doesn't have the ability to just do 1, 2, 3, 4 frags and that's it. They don't do that kind of mistakes. And this is how Elige shines. So this is why actually Naf is the highest rated player in that matchup, because he's more of he's a snake, and I say that in a positive way. That is not a diss.
Snake in the grass. I mean, it could be a good thing.
He understands the rules of Counter-Strike. He knows how to move about, and this is the game that Astralis wants to play. So for Elige, which again, he's a mechanical god, he doesn't have that kind of opportunity versus Astralis. And this is why it's such an interesting matchup, because the styles, they really do clash.
And it kind of circles back to what Trish said in that HLTV interview yesterday, that sometimes when he's playing against Astralis, he feels that he's just getting, getting outmaneuvered, right? He's getting isolated. He doesn't feel comfortable playing against a team like Astralis, and that's what Astralis do to a lot of the players out there. Saivu is a guy that has had great success against Astralis. He's always been performing relatively well because he's just insane at the game. Simple for a long period couldn't really perform up to the same level against Astralis. He's found it now. He found a way to actually be utilized against Astralis, but it took him some years, at least a decent amount of matches before he got there. I think it's the same thing with Elige, right? It's not that he forgets how to play Counter-Strike. It's not that Astralis is charming him down and focusing on him and just ruining, Elise's gameplay. It's more the fact that you need to understand how you utilize yourself against a team like Astralis. They always move around as a pack. They punish mistakes as the best team in the world. So if you're not on top of that game, you are going to struggle a little bit. And let's just be clear, having a 1.04 rating against the best team in the world is not a bad thing. But it's just not as good as it can be. So there's still potential for more.
No, but that's exactly what you were talking about, or what we were talking about earlier, in terms of how you can have those opportunities versus Nip, Elige.
Yes. Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam. I mean, what did he have? Like a 1.48 rating, or like 148 average damage versus Nip, I think, in the first half, which is just bonkers, which just means that he's exploiting those weaknesses that Nip show. Oh, I can get one frag, and then two, and then three, and all of a sudden there's the round. And you're right to point that out. Astralis, they do not make those kinds of mistakes. What kind of mistakes do Astralis make, though? What can Liquid hope to do? And we'll do this quickly, because we are getting close to match time. But what are we trying to keep an eye on here going into this match? So what do Liquid need to do to take down the behemoth that is Astralis?
I think that, when you look at Astralis, they are human beings. That might come as a shock, but they're human beings, right? They do make mistakes. Sometimes they will take risks.
They bleed?
They can potentially, right? But when you play against them, you need to have 5 players who can very, very quickly figure out what they need to do in certain situations. That's why Astralis is able to do. When you see Astralis play, whenever there is an opening, they will take it individually. They know what to do instantly. If you're Liquid and you go up against Astralis, if they give you just 1 inch into the round, just take it. Take it instantly, react together, talk together. You have to be able to improvise, because it's not always going to work according to plan.
And I think, looking at Inferno and looking at that specific statistic right there, the pistol round win, that's going to set off Liquid to a good start if they can utilize that. They won 80% of the pistol rounds on the map of Inferno, whereas for Astralis, it's only 29. So yes, pistol rounds are not as important as they used to be before the economical update, but they're still very much important in order to gain momentum. Now they need to convert those rounds. They can't just win the pistol and then lose the following anti-eco, which we saw happen a few times in the first matchup. You gotta eliminate those mistakes if you're Team Liquid. But getting off to a good start, winning the pistol rounds, and then maybe utilizing the fact that Device is not having the tournaments of his life. The only problem is Liquid doesn't really have that designated MVP player who can just, shut him out of the server. So you gotta find ways of playing around with Astralis. And as you said, you asked the question kind of ironically, it's super, super tough to pinpoint one thing Astralis does bad. The good thing with Astralis...
Oh, it wasn't ironically.
No, I know, but like it's you know the answer already, right? They don't really make mistakes, so you gotta force the mistakes out of Astralis. You gotta pressure them into mistakes. You can do that. We've seen that before. They're not unbeatable, but it's gonna be tough.
I think one of the only factor that I would give to Liquid going into that matchup is that they have this uncanny ability to win any rounds. And I mean that literally. Liquid can never be counted out of any rounds. Individually speaking, there's going to be a flash of brilliance. Naf is going to snuck behind you.
We saw it versus Nip earlier.
Exactly. That is the one thing that they have. Doesn't matter how stacked the odds are against them. They will have a member that can step up at any given time and take the round away from you. They will need that versus Astralis. If you're Liquid, you cannot hope to beat Astralis by the rules of Counter-Strike. You need to steal some rounds here and there. You need that's just how it is. There's no way around it.
I'm agreeing with you, but who is the virtuoso, right? Who is going to be able to crack that problem?
I think Naf is the man.
Through?
I think Naf is
going to be
man.
Naf. You think Naf is the man we need to watch in this matchup?
Naf is like the artist that is looking at the piece and understanding everything that's happening, the different dimensions he sees through the puzzle. That's what he does. I think that's why he shines versus Astralis, because he can read through the lines.
He's good. He's very good. But if there's one player in Team Liquid who needs to step it up, and one player who can just ruin and destroy Astralis, it's Stewie2k. He's so annoying to play against when he's successful with his opening duels. The problem with Stewie2k is that it's either him, playing really, really well, or it's him being relatively lackluster. There's no in between. So we need to see Stewie2k being successful with the opening kills, being successful with creating the space. If he can do that for Nafly and Leash, there's a realistic chance that Liquid could make this competitive.
And so, on that note, let's not waste any time and get into the Blast Pro Series Global Final.
The very final best of 3 here at the Blast Global Finals. A beautiful place here in Bahrain. It's been a fantastic weekend of Counter-Strike, but this is not just the last best of 3 of our event. It's the last time we will see Astralis versus Liquid in 2019. It's the series that keeps on giving, and it hasn't been too favorable for Liquid as of late, Launders, but one final chance is what they've got here.
We've got the same veto that we saw earlier in the tournament. We've got the same veto we've seen from them multiple times across tournaments. And every single time, they've had the same problem. How do we win nuke? How do we win overpass? Lately, it's been nuke over and over again. But we have also seen Liquid play nuke now more versus other teams. One struggle for Liquid is that on nuke, they've never had good enough practice. All the teams they play against, they beat. When they come into these tournaments versus Astralis, versus other great European teams, they struggle. But now they've got practice on LAN after their boot camp. But first, we have Inferno, a map that is a little bit more even, a map that Liquid win more often, and we've got a map that most teams understand the best.
Both of these teams most certainly do. It's where Liquid brought the series in their opening match on the very first day, and it didn't help them then. But it's where we begin, and we begin slowly. Team Liquid creeping their way through the apartments. Astralis already with numbers in this direction. Glaive starting to cheek his way over through Arch as well. The utility support going to be thrown over. And we're looking for headshots. We're looking for what has been 2 of the very best teams this year to give us one hell of a yearly finale. Grenades up and over, flashbang successful, but we've got Device tucked away, and Dupree from Grave tries to pop his head up. Naf just gonna prioritize plant, and that bomb's gone down with so many CTs nearby that they just start cleaning up kills. Elysian Twist, all that's left. And they start to bounce back with at least one. But Twist, who's been criticized, this dropped. Astralis start with pistol.
Wow, they laid a trap on A with 4 players on A, and none of them showed face. They allowed Liquid to get in, the bomb went down, which was really surprising, but it's almost as if Astralis wanted that because they secured the perimeter of the site. They have graveyard control, 2 players in pit, they were ready to pounce, and there was no way for Liquid to get the best post-plant spots, which were those spots on the outside of the site. So really nice setup there from Astralis, and out the gate for A before anything started. Xyp9x is the only one spotting down Banana. Lucky to get a plant, though, more than ever. A plant on this first round is more valuable than anything else.
Certainly so. That bomb plant transitions itself into what we've seen time and time again with the affordable rifles and the power of the Krieg. Stewie 2K and Elige will be equipped in this round. Deagles surround them, and a deep grenade with some slight chip damage.
They lacked a couple of kills, so they couldn't get all of the grenades that they wanted to. Only 2 rifles. Sometimes you see 3 in a situation like this. But again, it was fairly lopsided. Double arch setup here for Astralis. Shoulder peeks out, no damage dealt by Stewie. He's got one of the better guns here for Liquid. Molotov out. That'll do some damage to Dupree and give them a bit of a tell. You won't have to move out of this spot, however. Mag is still in a strong position, locking down halls and lane.
Working their way back towards Banana already. Glaive has foregone what was once his forward position, but he gets an inkling as to what's up, so he goes diving into Banana. And just as quickly as he rounds the corner, he is turned away. Xyp9x puts down the smoke, buys time for a rotation. That's Device to move over through CT spawn, but Team Liquid bide their time.
It's crazy, it already feels like Astralis or someone on the back foot, which is insane because they won that first round, but the confidence here from Liquid with the guns that they have recovered is apparent, it's salient.
Slight shoulder peek. Device, he's gonna grab himself too. Twist perhaps now at bat. Oh! Dropping Stewie close. That's all 3 of the rifles. Or weapons rather. That even picked up and added to the mix, but nothing comes off of it. Twist has to double back towards A, and now he's stranded between these sites. You just said it felt like Astralis was playing from the back foot, but Device sure as hell changed that quick.
Yeah, an incredible hold, really well done. And yeah, even that last kill, spam through the coffins. And that leaves us with Astralis 2-0. Twist couldn't recover the gun. They couldn't get the rest of the entries on B, even though they did get the opening kill. A good recovery here for Astralis. And the fans are here in full force for both teams. We've got Liquid on one side, Astralis on one side, and they're making sure to cheer no matter what round it is. That's what we like to see.
Right, actually. You know what, Bahrain? Let's get a feel for where you guys are at. Let me hear you if you're cheering for Astralis. Oh, and what about if you're cheering for Liquid?
Okay, yeah, no, Liquid. I think we might have this. This is going to be a real war in the server and out.
Yeah, I want to get a sense of where this crowd's at before we start getting deep in the series. We are still such early days. And what's supposed to be a throwaway round. Already 2 casualties stacking up here towards mid. They are walking into the meat grinder that is Device. He is everywhere, omnipresent already on Inferno. Rotates through CT spawn. This time he's over on short, and regardless of where he's at, he locks the rounds down. Liquid find nothing.
In Liquid Astralis matchups, there's a high chance of a 2-0 because Astralis are favored on all maps, if slightly, if not heavily, like map 2. On Inferno, they still can win. You know, they still have a positive win rate versus Liquid. Earlier in this tournament, they beat them on Inferno, and it was a very worrying defeat. They actually crushed them before they could even get a lot of bomb plants on A at the top mid early in the round. So that's going to be the first beast, I think, for Liquid to try to take down. That was, of course, a pistol round, so not too much to try to grab from there. But, oh, Stewie, between 2 fires, ends up getting killed by Zipix. Doesn't even see an opponent. As you can see from Astralis, still full HP on everybody.
And his health drops so quickly. There must have been a grenade that destroyed Stewie, too, because there's no way that was just a molly. Elige then, right after, gets a good taste of fragmentation. Majeskin from Porch, double kill for him. And a response from Nitro, but at 5 HP, he's chased by Device yet again. And Elige, who hasn't even seen anybody to shoot back at yet, finds himself on 43 health, has to play it all alone.
Yeah.
If only he had a bomb, Mohan.
No, he doesn't even have a place to hide is the other problem. He's trying to fight his way out of a box right now. There's one player here waiting for him. Glaive takes the perfect time to peek. Maniac brought up that one of the things about Astralis, like for Elige, he's an all-time top for him. He has been playing extremely well. He multi-frags versus basically every single team they play against. But versus Astralis, his rating is just above average, not excellent. Whereas Nafly is the one who has improved the most. And for Elige, you know, he plays a lot of positions in a similar way to Magus. He's very high multi-kill potential. There we saw Magus from the bracket kind of alone in that situation. His teammate smoked off and he's able to get 2-3 kills. So it's almost a one-way street in the sense that Astralis are going to be offered up more opportunities to get those multi-frags, and Liquid always struggle to get more than 1 kill per player.
Even despite it seeming so easy versus other opponents.
Yeah, they just don't give them the openings.
It's fair to say Astralis have had Liquid's number for months now.
Yeah. It's very crowded in halls right now.
Yeah, they did a good job of spamming Dupree down to 61 as he paraded his way around here early. So he very quickly just tucked himself back into the A site. Zipex had eyes down B, but has fallen back into the site and called Glaive to come join him. Majority of Astralis' members still here at the A site. Device has no trade potential here in this situation, so he's hoping he doesn't get popped by a pistol, and he almost gives them a chance. He thinks about smoking it off himself, but Team Liquid laid down the wall instead, and Nafly threw it, taps away for a frag. Magisk off the high road, dives down onto them. A hailstorm of gunfire as Astralis find themselves on fire straight out the gate.
Yeah, a beautiful crossfire, clean eco. It was just Device to go down with that spam from Nafly through the smoke, the corner of Arch. As you mentioned, they did lack trade potential from that spot. He was lucky to get away right away, but then he did enough damage to soften them up so that when he came through the crossfire, there was no stopping it. So difficult when there's somebody up on halls. There wasn't a single flash, even though they had some grenades to come through with a more clean execute. Whether it was a flash that was timed better for when they came up to the end of lane, or something to do with them coming out of halls, which they decided to neglect. We're into another rifle round. Astralis on fire. Banana on fire. As we'll see many times in this half. Both halves. Oh,
foot
the boost is good. He actually gets up there all by himself, I think. Elige really smoothly done.
Oh, but Elish then forced forward. Blink and you'll miss it. Astralis right back to the man advantage.
Yeah. Oh, is it? That's Banana 1, you know, for the cost of 1 player. Device goes down. That's not quite enough. Dupree's going to throw a Molotov, rotate in. They've got 3 here to move. Even though they lack information on Banana, they're confident that they established dominance there. Oh, but Twist gets an opening kill. That's big.
Magisk trades with 2. One of the best pit players in the game. Making Liquid look lame, and Nitro cut off by smoke.
It's interesting you say that. You know, that used to be Twist, but lately it doesn't feel that way. Magisk, man, what a round.
Yeah.
And Twist plays the spots almost identically, like in terms of in-pit. But for some reason, he's having way more trouble recently. We saw in that interview, everybody should go watch it, that death segment where he came on and just talked about his role right now, and he feels like he's moved into a more supportive position.
Yeah.
That's not the Twist we know.
Called himself one of the best support players in the world.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know, it felt like a bit of self-deprecation there. Like that wasn't necessarily his truest thoughts about his role, but more so that he's getting pushed into those positions.
Yeah, the moment he labeled himself support, I saw him die a little inside.
Right.
No, that's not the Twist we've come to know and love.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a blink twice moment.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, that's definitely not the best use of Twist. And if he feels like that's the case, then maybe something is wrong. We have, when listening to Stewie on the DDK podcast, he cited a lot of problems that didn't have a lot to do with individual players' performance, but kind of the mentality surrounding players, dealing with conflicts within the team. And they are professionals. We can see they're still playing at a very high level, but it's a game of inches when you're playing against Astralis.
Yeah, the Danish roster that'll punish you for making mistakes. Nobody does it better. That's why they were able to get through their defeats and find themselves back on top. Something Liquid are trying to replicate themselves. You know, they haven't given up on this lineup. Record-breaking speed at winning their Intel Grand Slam once upon a time. But oh, how time has gone by.
Yeah, that's long in the past, you know. Yeah, it's like you said, that this matchup kind of gets more skewed by the series. And this is the final chance of the year before a lot of rearrangements will happen for Liquid to try to cause some mystery as to exactly where these two teams stand. Because right now, what's amazing is that as long as it's close, even if Astralis keep edging it out, it's such an exciting matchup because they have so many more maps played against each other than any other team. Ooh. Oh, Astralis and Great Grenades. Name a more iconic duo.
Now they're going to try to get themselves around the corners. Flash bangs blanketing this bomb site. Smoke grenades too. Excellent work with the pistols. They've managed to close that distance and at least maybe get this plant.
Oh, or more than that.
Who knows? Naf has gotten his hands on that M4. He tucks himself back behind Nubox. And the rest of his team, everybody's still standing. Even despite the amount of damage done by that grenade before they rounded corners. And even despite another successful follow-up piece of utility, the Incendiary's fantastic. That drops the rifle. Nafly's supposed to be the insurance policy, but now Liquid have to rely on their lesser weapons. Zipex, Dupree, and Magisk just kill everyone on site. And it's an easy defuse to follow suit. Astralis with a straight 7 rounds.
A perfect retake. They still have the advantage if they play it properly, and of course, Astralis do play it well. With Liquid, they get what they want in the bomb plant. They work hard just to make sure they can make that happen. And then once they get in the site with that 1 kill, there's a chance that they win, but they're low on grenades. Obviously, it's the eco round, so they were fortunate, and they need a little bit more luck to take it one step further and actually win the round. That was very unlikely.
A retake so perfect, in fact, they removed the biggest threat, the M4, with utility. They never even gave Nafly a chance to shine like he has been as of late. We talk about the fall off of some of these individuals. Well, he hasn't. But everybody for Team Liquid off to a stagnant start. 3 kills the most on Elish.
Yeah. The Battle of Banana has been fairly one-sided so far. Once again, another great grenade. Count up the damage, folks. It's well into the 300-400 range by round 7. And This is a game that they play where they understand what's most likely going to happen. They'll take some losses. Players will get hurt. Hopefully they get a trade. This case, no. 7-0 for Astralis. It is a rifle round. One of the first few. It's just been rounds in a row for Astralis, so we've seen kind of so many in quick succession because of all the ecos packed into them. So I wouldn't call it too early. Still, because of the economy, the way that that stands, there's always a chance for a team to come back. But
that's big. Twists, destroys Dupree, and then follows with a little bit of tag onto Device. Not enough to really soften him up, but still just a warning shot over the bow. Twist, he's going to reposition here, Launders. He's going to try to get over towards balcony as the rest of his team will focus on short. Magisk ready to succeed yet again. Oh my God, these grenades. Team Liquid can't even get to a bomb site with more than half their health. Zipex, easy peasy, thanks to the assists. The kill feed nearly full, but there's a response. 8 seconds left as Naf's gonna try to plant that bomb, 4 HP, and he gets it down. Alige gives cover. They've done enough to force Glaive into the clutch. A swift breeze would push Naf over, leaving just Alige to finish this. He already has 2 kills to his name. He's the only reason that Team Liquid still find themselves in the post plant. Op in hand, Naf seen, dealt with swiftly. Alige does not decide to peek. Instead, he holds the cross, and now he's been spotted. Glaive closed that gap, and he's gonna have the smoke. Does he stick this defuse down to the 2-second mark? Alige starts to spray. A minute. Oh, it's gone. Impeccable.
oh my God, a beautiful 1v2. Naf a bit out in the open there in front of the box. They had no thought that maybe that rotate would have come from Arch. Instead, he was so focused on Halls, maybe his Elite watching lane, but that 1v1, so masterfully played. The smoke goes down, he sees his opponent in pit, he's going for a Hail Mary defuse, he takes a step back, he actually gets near it, so in case Elite sees him, and then he takes a step back. But we're already into the next round. Nitro is taking out 2 at mid.
Yeah, 8-0 and Astralis maybe feeling themselves a bit too much. Decide to try charging down middle. Oh, but Alige haphazardly happing through the apps. It's brought back to a 3 versus 3, turn 2. Nafly still able to make a bit more space, but Twists will plant bomb in the same position. Glaive so far gone.
It's crazy after that turn of events how close this round is even. The first 2 free entries for Nitro on this post plant. Retake is going to be extremely late, but it doesn't seem like they're even going to go for it. We've got to unpack what we just saw. There's so much that just happened. This round, less so in the sense that like those 2 kills from Nitro is like the key, and they obviously are going to go A after that. In that last round though, when they were trying to work up lane, and we're seeing a lot of A action as well. That's another interesting note. Most of the damage Astralis did was before Liquid even saw them. Oh, that's an exit kill they can't afford.
No, I mean, Naf dies to his lack of focus at the end of the round, but there's a world where that happens to the Apartments player prior to bomb being planted.
Yeah.
So let's rein it in a little here, Liquid. I mean, here's the thing too is, sure, Nitro, he gets 2 crisp headshots down middle, but that's a chance not taken by Astralis, but, not taken by Liquid, but given by Astralis.
Yeah, exactly. They know they're like fortunate to have that, but it doesn't really matter for them. You know, they've already lost so many rounds, and they also know how to win rounds. So, like in this matchup on Inferno, they know they still have a game plan for the future. Like this match will be close no matter what. Unless Liquid fully choke. Basically, it would be a choke if it's anything less than 10 rounds for Liquid on this map. But this was the problem for them in this tournament a couple days ago versus Astralis. It was kind of all this action at A not going their way. Astralis doing so well on the holds. Magisk, you know, always being in peak form, and also versus Liquid being in peak form. But it's interesting that we see Liquid give him so much shine when they could opt to avoid him. Ooh. Every single round. And we see nades back. It's reciprocated, but there's no damage.
Yeah, not nearly as successful. Zipex only loses as much health as Elige has left over.
Here, a couple ticks there. 5-man walk up. Will it be a contact play? That's the question.
Smoke already in the hand of Zip. Ready to barricade them off. After the first shot, he's even going for the flash so that he can throw himself into the gunfight. That's where he dismantles Twists. Oh, and then so much damage through the smoke. I mean, what's left of Team Liquid holds on by a thread. Everybody dead other than Naf, who's just going to desperately plant, and he can't even stick it. Astralis right back to the scoreboard. 9 of the first 10 rounds.
Yeah, the execute, you can see why it makes sense. Part of it is trying to run in while smokes and flashes are going over, hoping that no one is playing close to the smoke is part of it, hoping obviously Device is not taking an aggressive angle, but rather back in sight. That allows the flashes to be more effective, whereas if you throw the flashes beforehand, run in afterwards, everybody's unblind by the time you get to the site. Here you run the risk of taking damage early, but you may be rewarded with a very, very fast and clean entry and an early bomb plant before rotations come in, where you can jump up oranges, hold down the person in the speedway, and then end the round. But Astralis, again, they're doing so much early damage, they're getting favored in every single engagement from there on after, and that's what's causing the most amount of problems. Here's a round where they've got 5 alive with 500 HP, roughly. And they have established banana control, so that's nice. Astralis, they lay a bit of a trap. They've got 3 at the top of banana. No rotates in early just yet, but there's no signs that Liquid want to rocket back too quickly anyways.
Head boost on Logs. This would be a great way to get the opening pick. Flame is spotted, but he will happily take that duel. I mean, again, look at this damage.
Yeah.
9 health is all that keeps Elige and Stewie in this round. And even being blind, Device can shine. Shuts down Twists as he rounds the corner on A. They can't get a foothold for free no matter where they find themselves heading.
Nowhere is too easy. This is definitely getting worse by the round. Getting a low damage, great flash though. Device falls back. Nitro will toss a molly in the site. No teammates in Hall just yet to help him out, and they're gonna just lay claim here from the CT side to just get free shots. Debris doesn't have to watch his back. He's got a teammate working with him in the pit. They've got basically a cone fire now, but one player in sight goes down. That's Device, and Magis will light it up. But it's also Debris. They all stay alive.
I'd love to have the count on the amount of kills that happen as they come up short. Once they get to hay bales, it seems like every player who's died there is by way of assist. You know, Astralis doing damage substantially, everyone.
That's the other thing you pointed out, right? Like, it was like, because of all the early nade damage and then somebody else finishing off the kill, which every single kill came with an assist, and you got to think that's definitely the optimal way to play. On the CT side, if you get the dink off, if you trade dinks with an AK, you lose. So if you get them down to 90 or 80 HP before you take the duel, your M4 is now an AK, right? It's basically the same weapon. This is a really rough situation. It's a really rough situation for someone like Adren, because you have a spot where you're not even getting to the point of post plants, plus you already know how to play versus this team. So it feels like you're taking a step back. So it's no longer a strategic issue, it's like a mental issue. Pistols once again. Astralis in double digits within what feels like 5 minutes of the game starting.
Gonna try, just push themselves alt mid. Heavy numbers already outside of the apartments, but heavy numbers on a rotation from Astralis. They're going back to this A stack. I mean, you saw Glaive and Sonic laughing during the veto process. Oh, but no one's laughing now. Twists, quick headshot, will take down Device. That's an M4 in the hands of Elige. Zipex tucked into the corner, deals with at least another, and here's Debris. Oh, but Trade's efficient. A man advantage established by Liquid. Naf's patience pays off as he catches the op, and Team Liquid rob a second round.
All right, so they exploit Arch there. So if you have a 3-man setup on Banana, there's a window of timing early in the round where Arch is wide open because your first rotator is going to come. So Liquid decide to go through their Arch smoke. That's open. The rotation comes in. It's a little bit hasty. Device is not exactly prepared for it. The trades come out favorably. It's kind of crazy that they see 2 in library in that situation, so Astralis do almost catch them off guard, but they come out ahead. They get their second round, and again, it's just about the amount of rounds now. Getting 5 is still a failure. but getting 5 is their only way of having a chance in the second half. So eyes on the prize here for Liquid. And now we get to talk about what the strategy is once again here on the rifle rounds. The banana flambe to kick things off. This time, Astralis present themselves, pushing down Glaive, making presence. Don't know if they're smoking here. Looks like that one gets popped off. Liquid know what they're going up against. This burns time off the clock. 3 now congregate towards mid. Twist talked about staying in halls, having a full utility belt, and not taking openings, and feeling like he should. I wonder if he was talking to himself in that moment, and we'll see more of that action.
Ooh. Naf goes out with no trade potential. Everybody else was more wary of the arch side, understandably, because that's where Astralis have numbers. Lige leads this with Twist by his side, but if they don't hard clear this corner, they are doomed. Device decides to activate, and he almost skewers too, but the flank from Glaive is good. Although, it is still Liquid to come out on top with a man advantage, but they still have Zip to deal with.
Zip, sometimes at B, this is a brave call by them. You can see why Zip is so confident that they might come A, because he's been spotted top and end time again. So great call here from Liquid. They get the bomb down. You'd think they'd win. I mean, it is ZipX, but you'd think they are going to be able to win this. But he is there in time to get some information. Players crossing the site, where smokes are coming from.
Yeah, that trajectory is going to tell him there's somebody back left. And Twists with 1 HP makes the difference. A swift execution as he emerges through smoke. So a third round.
A third round. It still wasn't pretty, though. Like, I'm still not seeing sustainable ways of winning around. The last round they won, it was with pistols. And then that round there, they actually have, I think it's Stewie at ramp with the bomb at the bottom of stairs. He runs by Glaive. Glaive flanks for that reason, because he could have stayed there to wait for a flank if he didn't have to hold on to the bomb. So there might have been a bit of disorder when it came to figuring out what the protocols were for each teammate. He was in like a high danger situation, but they managed it regardless. Just great trades on the site. And it was a 3-arch setup for Astralis, so they pretty much got what they wanted and still lost. That's scary for Liquid to think about.
From a 10-1 lead to this 10-3. Should be an easy fourth. He'll take that kill despite the dinks done. A Lige with 1 HP as well. The lucky number. Device splattered on the back wall. And Team Liquid not looking to make mistakes as they find themselves barely adding rounds to the board here at the end of their T side, but they know that they needed 5 at the least. For them to have broken past 1 with some sort of mixed bag pistol buy, and then to have closed out that clutch in the previous, it's why they'll take their time. I'm not shocked.
Yeah, be careful.
Minimize mistakes and try to move forward into the second half. Get that clean slate, a tabula rasa.
At least here, as we round out the half, they finally started to find their footing. There is a situation where they've only got to do one more thing well. So they've got this clean eco down. They had that previous round where they maybe got a bit fortunate, but it's good to see that they turn up individually at the very least. The scoreline is fair. Astralis are playing so well right now. They're reading the situation so well right now. They're fragging at their peaks right now. Matches from pit. All these beautiful holds on B. The utility usage is absolutely on point. That's a statistic I want to look at when this game is done.
But a 4th round for Liquid regardless. 1 more to go on a T side that looked like it was going to fall completely flat. They've at least been able to bring it back to 4. 1 more to go. And it's a full-fledged buy on each side. Astralis, it's not even though they had some kind of godlike individuals to get those first 10 rounds. No, I think it was the setups, the nades, the team play. The things we've come to expect from Astralis is how they've gotten here.
Curious how Device will set this tone for this round, how it goes. Early car molly goes out. 2 players at the bottom B. Fast Halls control is on the docket for Liquid, it seems like. I don't think cancel plans. Move back towards mids. Bracket control is relatively passive. Oh, there's Device up in his treehouse. Ready to take an off shot. Flash comes his way. He'll fall back. See, for $200, they don't actually see the impact of that, but that's huge to take him out of that position. He moves back now into a more common spot. We'll see if he can crack open any opportunities.
Magis nearly has the bottle pop on his head. Extinguishes the threat, and Twist tries to spam through. But Dupree reveals himself as well. That's going to be knowledge of at least 2 bodies here on short side.
Oh, interesting. This is Twist falling back. Nath gets a kill. Arch was the option. That smoke doesn't necessarily mean they'll split B, but they do have the bomb still at the bottom of Banana.
Yeah, Stewie, he's going to show a little bit of face and then race to pick up bomb, bring it over here with the rest of his team. It's Dupree to have swapped over to the off, and he already makes her sing. Nitro's ears ring as he's removed early before they even get past the lane. Dupree ready for another. He shuts down a Liege and a third. How about a fourth? Magis as Astralis send Liquid packing back from the A site. An 11-4 half on the map choice of Liquid is exactly where Astralis would love to be starting this series. You can see they make it look too easy. But before we get into that second half, before Liquid have a chance to bring it back, we will throw this one to a break. Good luck, Liquid. Dupree rocking Liquid in that last round of their T side, just the same way Astralis rocked Liquid all half long. It was gonna look like a complete and utter blowout, but 3 of the last 4 rounds going the way of Liquid, which gives them enough wiggle room to at least try in this second half.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to keep hope alive, obviously, and again, they can do this on both sides. They can have outstanding performances on both sides. They probably will find more rounds on the CG side, but they're still very far away from winning. I mean, Astralis looks so clean right now on all fronts. There's so many layers to why they're playing well. It's all the stuff from 2018 coming back into effect here. The nades, the individual performance, the team play, it all looks so crispy right now. You got to be just riveted to be an Astralis fan at the moment. They look so strong.
Look at all these decoys. Look at all these nades.
It's kind of offensive to call Liquid that.
Oh, I mean, fair though. Some of those rounds just never even getting a chance to shoot back. So much utility damage. I mean, what else have we come to expect from Astralis? Danes, the masters of nades. The decoys pop. Meant more of a warning sign of things to come.
Stewie pulled from his spot. Astralis read that first pistol perfectly. Now Liquid, will they be able to do the same thing in turn? They're locked into positions that are long rotates, and they don't have info on brackets, so they're going to rely heavily on holds here. Rotations are going to be late. Actually don't very much like this setup from Liquid. Even though they're not stacked, it feels like they're hoping for A.
What would you prefer?
Might call the early rotation. Yeah, maybe a gamble read rotation here from Elige. He's the most free flex player, but they don't know if it's going to be B. They lack information. It's too late to go back to mid, especially from the spots they pick. So at this point, you commit, and you're gambled, but you're also not favored.
Smoke goes down as we hit that 30-second mark. Nobody from either team has seen a member of the opposite. We're at the 25-second mark now. More utility being thrown into the B site. Glaive's gonna try to sell this fake as bomb goes over towards A. Elige does start to bite on it, but him and Naf gonna try to ramp back through CT spawn. Glaive sneaks through the smoke of the B site, but it's over here on A. The bomb is dropped. Twist from inside the site with 2. Nitro peeking up over the Glaive as Magisk sent packing, and 2 seconds left. Glaive nowhere to be found. This pistol round is Liquid's.
Wow, and it was a great fake. The tables have turned. Astralis are having such a great job, are doing a great job of reading the setups. Liquid do the exact same thing moving into the second half, looking a lot more clairvoyant there. Now they do actually get pulled on the rotation. Elige makes his way halfway to B. Glaive doesn't push through the smoke, doesn't give that up too early, and then it comes down to Nitro and Twist. And Twist, he has been having fantastic pistol round performances. He did it the 1v3 clutch on Mirage, a couple of pistol rounds in a row versus NIP, and right here that 2K, you can't understate the significance. A really, really well done and clean-looking pistol round from Twist.
Yeah, not just a pistol round to start the game either. One at 11-4.
The amount of obstacles that need to be overcome, though, for Liquid to really come back into this half is almost insurmountable. They've got to meet them halfway when it comes to how much nade damage they're doing, how many rounds they win decisively, how much bank they build. Can they do that is the big question. You know, it definitely seems unlikely. Astralis, they've laid the foundation. We know they don't slow down in the second half. Liquid's work is cut out for them. Glock safe to chill, talk about things. Good few MP9s. That's a confidence move. You know, make as much money as possible. You know Astralis are saving. Don't worry about the thought of a potential eco. That's playing to lose.
Little long-range MP9 play could very well draw them into Stewie 2K, who's closer. But he's giving away some audio cues, and Naf takes a lot of damage. Good thing Elige cleans up Arch first, and they line up for Stewie. Milks the moneymaker. Magisk tries to tuck tail and just dodge.
Yeah, no losses quite yet. Oh, they're going to hear him, so yeah, it's not like he's going to be able to QB sneak a plant here.
Yeah, no, he's just going to throw himself into the meat grinder that is Nitro. More bullets than needed, but at this point, I don't blame him. Got to keep the morale high, the hopes higher. 11-6.
In trying to understand like what the difference is here, looking at the way they both approach Banana is obviously the place to start on Inferno. You're going to see pressure from Astralis here. Device, interestingly enough, who some would say is the most valuable player on the team, is the guy who takes a lot of early damage sometimes at the bottom of Banana, but he also always comes up with kills, like very consistently. So that's at the same time why he's been playing there. Here he is, down to 73 HP. He knows in that spot, like, there are nades with his name on it. But he still kind of stubbornly pushes his way into these positions over and over again because he recognized the value of this information.
You said that Liquid had a lot to do in terms of matching Astralis' CT side. Well, I just counted 3 frag grenades that did 0 damage and a Molotov that was extinguished in their very own smoke.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like, understanding the timings of when to throw the nades perfectly is something that Astralis just do better than everyone else. And there's some rounds that'll be anomalies where Liquid can keep up, but in general, can they keep up that same level of consistency? It's the final boss, really. So with these players at the bottom of Banana, they're running into a 2-man setup at B. Elige going to be pulled off right now. It's a little bit of a bonus here for Liquid, but at the same time, they can't afford to lose any. So it might not be fair to call it that. But they've been shied off of the site that has 2 MP9s.
Yeah, if anything, that's what Liquid want to do, kind of puff their chests over at that B site, send Astralis towards the harder hitting weapons. But even on A, it's another MP9 joined by a Famas. It's really Elige, that M4, who's floating between. Ready to try and hold Arch. He will be challenged by 2. Gets into the mix as Glaive is shuffling grenades. So much damage, but neither kill. 14 health is what will keep Device and Glaive both standing. And now all of a sudden, this B site could be compromised.
Oh my God.
Naf and Stu have to turn attention back towards CT spawn. They need to deal with Device, but he's not going to give them anything. And all the while, Astralis get into the site, planting in the nick of time. A little spam through smoke will get 1 frag, and they do clear flank, but it's still a 3v3. And Dupree cuts off Nitro before he can near the site. Twists from downrange, dealing more substantial damage, but still all 6 players stand. Bomb, a third of the way gone. Now they line up. Efficient trading yet again, but these T's have health advantage, and Magnus from the high ground hits the headshot, leaving it on to Naf.
Efficient reposition there from Dupree, and Naf will have a last chance, but he'll also get his face taken off. That Zipix from Quad. A cleanup from Astralis. It's the Arch wrap into the B site versus the MP9, so they find a way back to those targets.
It just creates so much uncertainty for Nafly and for Stewie, and those 2 are already burdened with holding B on the double MP9.
And they actually did a great job of not only taking out Device, who is ultra patient, but then getting 1 kill
Off
in the
the
site
site,
as well, having the B flank come in, but then Dupree on that low HP point, he actually does a great reposition back into the site and then finds a kill at the top of Banana. But we're already right into the next round. Liquid made no upgrades. We've seen Astralis in some of these bonus rounds upgrade a gun or 2 because they understand, they give reverence to those rounds, especially in dire situations. Liquid didn't do that. But now, if you looked at that as like a free or bonus round, well, what about this? Twist has a deagle. Everyone's slightly low on grenades. And they can't aggressively defend Banana, which is sometimes the capstone of your round on CT side. Nafly, so much damage. That one lands perfectly square on Coffins.
Offense, defense, doesn't seem to matter. These frags, magnets. Oh, but a close smoke play from Elige with a couple of bodies just on the other side. It's beginning to fade, and cover given by Zipex. Not only cover given by him, but the 2 targets that Elige wants to try and mow down are so safely tucked into the corner as that smoke goes away. He doesn't even have a chance to spray them down. So a man advantage for Astralis early. Nafly's gonna get boosted. Stewie has the opportunity to move over to A if needed. And if not, it's the Deagle for Twists in pit. And Nitro inside of the site. You know what that opens entirely? Arch. You know who's going there? All of Astralis. They're splitting this A site, holding off on short, trying to get Dupree and Glaive in here first, seeing how much they can unearth. Twists missed Molly, and just like that, the whole round crumbles. 13-6 for Astralis.
That's beautiful. If you have Arch, you know, if you have Arch, you wrap A. You wrap A. Down a man, another great call. Glaive doing fantastic on that front so far. There's not much you can do about that. Elige looks kind of foolish standing in that smoke, but that's actually a play that he's used versus Astralis that works out well. So I wonder if that player that was at the bottom of mid
Zipex
was there to chill for that smoke to go up, because sometimes Astralis are taking a bracket control just as the smoke goes up, which means Elige dodges flashes that are meant for Boiler. Elige gets a free kill or 2, and there he was totally negated, and he was made to look like a fool. But remember, in this matchup with so much history, there's going to be plays like that that are insanely hard reads.
I would say not only the way Zipex is watching that smoke, but also the way that the 2 forward T's are tucked into the corner.
Yeah.
It's like he couldn't, even once he starts taking a bit of damage, he couldn't just brazenly spray. He couldn't have even gotten a random kill in that instance. Nothing was given to him.
Listen, maybe using that time off to the maximum, like, because Astralis got to the final so fast, taking time to prepare and develop their Inferno, even without a full and proper break. It's very impressive, to say the least.
Adding in how happy they were in that veto process. I mean, for a second it looked like we had given Astralis a map advantage. Oh, full flash, poor Stu.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I think when Liquid kind of were at their lowest point, it was really weak B holds that were the, I think, important point, or the worst part about it. where Stewie was in a low form, Naf was not. Sometimes Naf and Stewie would take turns dying and they'd give up the B site. Here, Astralis have won rounds, not really having to crack open B that often or just directly, and still look just as good.
Nitro, one of those two M4s. Yeah, poor old Elige. A spinal tap. How about the Zeus on the device? Not even. They'll find nothing other than that one kill onto Zipex. Naf just wants to run and hide this Krieg, try and grandfather it forward to the next round, but he's been spotted. Glaive knows exactly where he's at. And he takes his head straight off. 14-6 for Astralis. Again, on Liquid's map choice. We saw Team Liquid fail to hold back Astralis on Nuke. The defensive side of that map was so difficult. Poor Stewie. We saw Nafly blown to 50 HP from Coffin's last round.
Yeah.
This time Stu takes the same place.
Yeah,
Lessons not learned.
I mean, the issue is that you can nade every spot on the site from the top of Banana. So you just have to figure out, do I want to stand? You have to stand somewhere, right? If you got to think of yourself as a CT, and ultimately you've got to take a gamble by standing anywhere. Am I going to stand in the same place? Are they going to nade the same place? No, they wouldn't nade the same place because who would stand there twice? Oh, will they nade oranges if I move there? Or is that going to be obvious? And so that's also scary from Astralis, right? Like that is the power of their minds on their team and their gameplay. 14-6. It is definitely dire straits for Liquid. Like no way to sugarcoat it. This is the most dominant inferno I've seen between them in a long time.
Right. And we were wondering, you know, are we going to come into the Blast Global Finals and kind of see Team Liquid chip away at Astralis after finally, you know, losing so many series to them? But if anything, that gap has just continued to widen. Prior to this weekend, 6 of the 7 series had all gone 3 maps. We saw a 2-0 on the opening day.
Yeah.
And now we could very well be looking at another in even more demanding fashion. But it's not over yet. Full buy back for Liquid. Astralis still need 2 to close this opening. Naf behind Stewie. Both of them tucked by sandbags, and Device is the first to fall. A 5v4, something we haven't seen from Liquid all too often. But Astralis do not shy away. They remain proactive. Glaive pressuring towards Arch, where currently nobody holds.
Glaive taking a bit of a liberty here, wrapping Arch, looks for a kill, can't get that. And now he's going to be a bit more scared falling back as Dupree takes his position as the aggressor.
Yeah, with that Molotov on balcony and also the trajectory seen from the pit, they know there's one in there. That's 2 of the 3 players on this A site confirmed. Although Nitro's also in the mix, and they hold it. Team Liquid keeping 4 players alive in what is a crucial round.
Liquid are back, baby. Liquid era.
Your chickens haven't hatched just yet, Launders.
Yeah, they come away with finally like a good, just kind of standard round, a dominant round, a good crossfire that holds up through and through. Astralis work hard to get some Arch control, but there's a round where Liquid get the early 5v4. As you pointed out early on, we haven't seen one of those in a long time. That's something I even forgot about. It's like, how come they can't manufacture a 5v4? As a CT, you have the advantage in doing so very often. That's some good molly damage on a very important man. A high-value target missed a Magic Man.
That is one crispy Magisk. It's golden brown, but not charred. A frag grenade over top. Is that going to be enough? Nope.
Astralis will be pretty good at Battleship, huh?
Yeah, probably.
Ah, okay.
There we go. A little bit of something. A little something, something. But still pretty much nothing. Smoke well timed.
Yeah.
They decided to try and play off this or really pressure the B site. That smoke will hold them off for at least a few more seconds.
So lay of the land, we've got 2 players deep, dedicated inside to Liquid. That means they're in a dangerous position if it's a full execute on B. Bomb is still back in spawn as we cross the minute mark. So it looks like Magisk is going to collect that because they're going to take it to A this time around. Setup is okay for the passive setup on A. Double balk can be great. It just comes down to how Astralis abused that. Arch is somewhat open. Depends where the smokes land. Nitro, how is he going to react? But there's not actually anybody from Astralis that are in halls right now.
No, so Elige over there playing counter flash. A lot of this pressure falls onto Twist, and he only gets one. But they're going to call that the balcony player's dead, and they're having Ben 2 members up here. So Elige strikes with the element of surprise, cutting down 2 and dealing more damage. But we are still left in the even clutch. Dupree doubles back, catches Stu at the top of mid, can't hit his headshot, so he goes to retreat. A smoke underhanded close, and a flashbang that blinds him, so he does retreat and plays shoulder to shoulder with Magisk. But Nafly somewhat back behind Stu, charges right in, and he is shut down on the forefront as Nafly takes his place. He's revealed, and Dupree with another headshot keeps Astralis in this. 15 rounds for them, 8 map points.
Damn, Dupree super clean. Those couple of shots, so nicely done, man. He's even playing with his mouse pad sideways. This man can't be stopped. Smoke down at 2v2. That's a tough situation. And you like that Liquid are trying something new. The setup there, excuse me, on the balcony, where Twist finally gets to just kind of have the freedom to just peek if he wants to. He's there for bait. He goes for one, can't get the second one, but I feel like that's nice to try to give him a chance to activate himself while still kind of using him sacrificially in a sense. And Elige almost puts up 300 damage to bring them back into the round on top of the Twist kill, and they still can't do it.
We talk about the inability of Liquid to get those multi-kills versus Astralis like they do other teams. That was finally a round where Elige was piecing it together. At least 250 damage from him alone, and still it's not close. 2 members of Astralis.
They find him no matter what. And it's the nade tags that let him know that they know where they're standing. Nafly, can he do anything? He's going to reload, rebuild that CZ quickly, standing inside of the Molotov. Gets a nice spray off through the smoke, has to jump away to safety. Stewie takes his place, changes to the bomber spray, but he can't get more.
Still, all things considered, a CZ and a Bombus blocking that down. Elige tries to extend down mid, and now Astralis, they think they could sprint towards this A site. Twist is in position, and he smokes them off. But he too, with a build-a-gun, tucks himself into the corner of Balk. He's calling for help, but Astralis have gone silent on this side of the map. Magisk creeps his way up lane first. Still in the face of Twist is Zipex. He's denied. That's an AK procured. Bomb on Dupree has crossed over to the site, and he can safely put that down. A smoke blocks off the rotation, and Twist opts not to come into the fight just yet. A little hesitation that could very well pan out, but Magisk in pit in a post-plant 2 skewers the first. Twist's head splattered on the sidewall. A flash that goes high, Magisk peeks, and there it is. Stewie keeps them going. Team Liquid take 8.
I really hate how you were casting that as if Astralis were going to win, because there is that thought. Even though Magisk has a sliver of HP, seeing him in pit in that post plant, you know he's going to come up with at least something ridiculous, and he does get the first kill. But you got to love how Twist plays that. Once his teammate dies and Elige gets the dink off and then goes down at mid, he throws the smoke, plays it carefully, gets up in halls inside of a spot where, without a teammate alive, as long as he wins the halls fight, he can stay alive and have continual impact. And then he does, gets back to lane, gets involved in the post plant, and anywhere else you think maybe he's in a bit more trouble, but it's good to see that he's playing confidently and very smart at the same time.
7 more to go. This one should be a breeze. A little curb purchase. You had a name for these half buys that you used yesterday with Moses.
Yeah, crooked buys.
Crooked buys.
No, that's when you get one rifle, someone's down to 0, and everyone else is on Nico, yeah. But this would be anything but a robbery for Astralis. Again, a lot of, I'm sure they could see this happening, right?
Oh, no. Oh. Oh, poor Stewie. Here's that shot zing by, but you know what? They're just going to give chase. They're going to try to sprint in as quick as can be. Smoke delayed slightly, and because of that, Stewie's able to hold the line. 3 frags for him here versus these pistols. Zipex able to cross over to the backside of the site, but then Elige gets in, and the last man stranded. Device. Oh, he's trying a double deagle to set up a 1 versus 4 for the win. And he upgrades into the AK. They could line up for him. And luckily for Team Liquid, Nitro shuts this down.
Shades of Dupree with those couple of deagle shots from that position. 9-15, we're now into territory where it's buy, save, buy, save. Liquid are on their feet. Astralis are starting to wonder why this game isn't over. And we can start to draw up the thought that maybe Liquid can potentially bring this to OT. Still extremely unlikely, but here we are into another rifle round. Nitro's got the op and the spawn to go with it.
Thing is, we saw just earlier today, Team Liquid versus NIP constantly bringing maps back in the late portion of the second half. If they're gonna do it again, you think it shouldn't happen versus Astralis. You know, you might be able to defeat FaZe and NIP in that kind of way, but not the team that's been your kryptonite. They'll continue though, 6 to go.
So much progress made by Astralis already. Peeking top bracket at the cost of a single flash. Not using too much utility here. Nitro waiting for his opportunity. Staying on angles after getting flashed. You know, pretty important. His team's not holding on to a lot of map control outside of this, but the Molotov will eventually shoo him away. You know, I'd like to see almost some aggression from Elige if they can combine it with a boiler flash, but you know why they want their passive setup. They've definitely drilled that. They rely on it heavily. Rotations in from Naf. He's in a position where they can get smoked out. They are kind of going to bump into each other. Oh, he's there with an incendiary to help the fall back. Back comes out, he pulls a pin. Naf also secures the kill. Very good because Nitro ends up dropping it. Naf with 2 on the cross. This is real guns they're going up against. Those weren't pistols. We've seen that happen on Ecos, but
how close that was to being a TK instead. Oh, Naf, he gives up his back. That's gonna give Glaive a chance to slap Nitro down, but Elige, he's also slipped into the enemy's back line. 4v2 and Astralis, they are split.
Yeah.
20 seconds, and they have to commit to this B site. Device cannot get over. But he just pops Stewie's noggin. Naf could be next. He's gonna go ahead and use that fountain for cover. Nafly, oh! He doesn't kill him fast enough to deny the plant, so now Glaive's left in the 1v3. Elige should be his first target.
I think he takes a fast step there.
Oh, he's smoked off, and Nafly's doubling back. Glaive doesn't realize he's about to get skewered. Double digits at the very least for Team Liquid.
Actually pretty unfortunate for Liquid that they let the plant go down in the first place in that situation. Astralis very low, could use the extra cash. Would do a lot of weird things for that extra cash, I'm sure. 10-15, we're now both teams are in double digits. Can start slow versus Astralis, but when all is said and done, from what we're seeing most recently, it's looking very much up for Liquid. Great round here from Naf, and again, as Maniac pointed out, highest performing player on Liquid versus Astralis specifically. Not the highest performing player on the team on average, but when it comes to their hardest matchup and their most important matchup right now, Naf is that dude.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't realize who he's playing against.
You can see it in his eyes, he has no idea where he is. He doesn't understand the magnitude of the situation, and that's probably what's helping him out. A vocal Zonic here as we take a tack timeout to think about what to do. Glaive slips into Arch. That's something that's very common on their T side. We know that he likes to take library control and then cause confusion as to where it's safe to rotate from. And Liquid are so scared of that. We've seen in previous rounds where Glaive's not even there, and they take their time clearing CT spawn with like 1:40 left on the clock just because they're so worried of the thought that he could have gotten there without them seeing. Tiny gaps in the defense he takes advantage of all the time. Astralis, round 26. They are on a half buy, but it's still any small mistake and Liquid are out of this match.
You can't get through a game of Counter-Strike with Astralis in the server without getting ready for them to win a round like this, with lesser weapons like this. Can Device slice through the top of Banana. Stewie, he will be that first line of defense. Nafly by his side. Ooh, good first headshot. Catching him on the hop. And tons of damage versus Device. Magus will try his hand. That's the bomb carrier spotted and dealt with. Flashbangs each way. Three slips out for Boiler, but the entire job is done towards the top of B site. Bomb even gifted further forward. Not a bit of a response yet from Astralis. Liquid just tearing through them on these half buys.
Yeah.
Which is what they're gonna have to do if they realistically want a chance at forcing this into OT.
It's partly confidence too, right? You have a clean eco like this, you feel a lot better. You're like, okay, minimizing mistakes, that's our key goal. Here's something that we're doing. Great hold on Banana. Nafly doing a fantastic job at just, you know, racking up the numbers. Just keep feeding him, give him confidence.
Listen, Mohan, that's 4 rounds in a row and 4 more to go. They are halfway to pushing this into OT.
I mean, if you want to go even farther into the numbers, there's ego sprinkled in, whether it's 1 or 2. So potentially one of 2 remaining full buys for Astralis, combined with maybe 1 broken buy if it does get to that round 30 mark, which seems more and more realistic in adjustment. Stewie opping along with Nitro. This is something he does.
Wow.
You know, it can be comfortable. Has been struggling on B in this match. Getting the raw end of the deal when it comes to grenades, even from the T side from Astralis, they're getting bullied in their own house.
In their opening match in Bahrain, I mean, that was the big question mark, was the B site. Stewie and Naf had a hard time holding.
Astralis sit and wait. Flash to clear things out. They fall into that very passive setup again. Low rotations will be late. Emphasis on Stewie and Naf.
Big time, that secondary op. A transition in the defense shown in the 27th round.
They're really hoping for a rotate back. Nitro has full info on mid. They just don't know about Halls right now.
And Elige is starting to piece himself forward. If he can get some information here, I'm sure Nitro sprints to the B site. Whether or not he gets there in time is the biggest question.
He's also an op on the retake.
Yep. Stewie's op has been shown, but will it shine? He has to reposition, burned out of the back, and the moment he arrives in his new spot, well, there's a Molotov there too, the praise of grenades. Oh, and the damage done, only 1 kill from Team Liquid. Oh! Great grenade. Dupree's gonna go ahead and plant on oranges. And a man advantage for Team Liquid on a retake, a crucial one at that. Whoa. Their utility near non-existent. A single flashbang for Elige. An op on device, home towards spawn, but he misses his shot, and that's crucial. It's gonna give Twist a chance to maybe tag him down to 19 health. He'll go. Elige up close, and Dupree will see nothing. We have 3 counter-terrorists basically on cross. Elige, the front runner, denied. Device, he's pinned in. Dupree's got it all to do, and it is just now Device. Up close. 16-11 for Astralis. They take away Liquid's map pick.
What a last round to look at. The unbelievable grenades on the B exec, pushing Stewie out of position, making sure he can't take a single clean shot. When he's finally ready, he gets full flash. Nafly goes down, they get punished on the weak setup. And even though Nitro comes in with the kill with both the grenade and the op, it's far too late. They're still confident in the post plant. Liquid are low on grenades, and Inferno is closed. That's it.
You see them leaving their stage, Team Liquid with heads low after that one, and it's got to sting. They were down 10-1 at one point, weren't even in the match. They closed with 3 of the last 4 rounds in that first half. They start to claw their way into the second, and yet still they fall short. So now they find themselves facing what has been a burden. Nuke versus Astralis. That's what we've got next. Possibly the last map between these teams. We'll see you guys there.
It's such a weird thing because I didn't imagine I get to do this, and then suddenly when I started doing it full time, it was all quite sudden. I'm almost in the moment at the moment and not even thinking about the future. I keep emphasizing I'm a nice person, which might mean I'm not.
Everyone, I'm stood here with Twister, the coach from Ents, and I got Little from Fords. And what I've just discovered is these two used to play together in 1.6. Do you think you can beat these guys today?
Who?
Oh, well, there you have it. It's going to be a fiery one, so let's head in back to the desk. Thank you so much. You made my job so easy. Thank you. Good luck, guys. Thank you.
No.
We'll head it back to the desk. I said send, it's fine.
Sometimes it will be, I've had a week to prepare and I've got my notes. Sometimes I actually need to refresh. So I'm always looking at interviews and just trying to find out what the players have been saying, because sometimes that's quite useful to kind of call back to when I'm doing interviews. Standings, I'll look at their map pools and things like that. So it's general prep and also catching up with the talent when they land, because one of the best things about Blast is the talent you get to work with are just so much fun and it's always such a pleasure to see them. So, for example, like I'm always looking forward to seeing Potter.
I'm really bad at it.
Begge. Lille stille begge. De kan selvfølgelig gå tilbage.
Der holder cold server.
Begge er der. Kommer nu.
Indsæt også. Gem dig.
På vej ind.
Helvede. Hvad skete der, så?
I understand that, Pimp.
Yeah,
that last one was good.
Which one? The nice?
That's also top. That's off the top shelf. Well, there we have it, guys. I got a little sidetracked there trying to pay attention to the Danish, but yes, we have just finished an excellent map. The first map of the grand final here, and Astralis have taken it, but Liquid did put up a fight.
They did put up a fight, but it took a long while before they actually showed up to the game. Once again, we highlighted a player like Stu2K. Didn't have a great game. He went 1 for 6 in opening duels. We talked about him. You know, he has to step it up. He has to be the guy opening up the rounds. Luckily for him, somebody else in Team Liquid actually did the job for him, which was the case that this game actually got somewhat competitive. I will say, though, that Astralis, to me, there was never a single point in this game where I didn't feel they were in full control, and I think the communication we just heard as well was a great signal of that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, the fact that Liquid won these rounds at the end and mounted somewhat of a comeback, to me, it only bodes well for the second map. There was never, ever a discussion about who was going to take Inferno. Astralis were far ahead. But then finally, maybe if you're Liquid, you get into the groove, you get into this area where you win rounds, you start fitting it, your communication gets better. That bodes well for the second map. Now, if we think about that first half and the highlights we have here, what was so impressive, and the casters, they actually mentioned it, is the amount of damage that Astralis would do to you before you even get to see them. The nade damage on Inferno is absolutely insane. Sliggy put out an interesting screenshot on the Twitter. You can never make it to the bomb site with 100 HP. It never happens. So what happens is, at M4, 1 bullet to the head, you're down.
That is the thing. I mean, so far, what does this tell you? Does this bode well for Astralis as well? I mean, Dupree, Device, Meg is pretty much neck and neck in frags and clutch moments throughout that first map.
Dupree is continuing his impressive form. I mean, for me, he's like a clear MVP candidate for this event in general. He's been absolutely massive again on this half. His ability to... I mean, Dupree is just complete whenever he feels it. T-side, CT side, always good for 2 or 3. In the clutch movement, we've seen him react so quickly in the clutches. 2 versus 2, gets the information, quickly goes back to the side. He thinks fast, aims fast. Everything is working for him.
So he would be a candidate for Omen HP?
I think he would.
Omen HP. Omen MVP. He would have it
without a doubt. I mean, he's playing great right now, and that's the tough thing about Astralis. You don't have to. You not only have to beat them, you know, in the clutch scenarios, you don't only have to show up, you know, individually-wise in order to match them, but the team play coming out from Astralis, you talked about it, the utility damage and the utility usage they had throughout Inferno. They sort of invented that. That's what they got known for a year ago. Sonic and all the players basically chiming in and inventing these new nades. This game, we just saw it just before as well, you know, that nade towards Coffin could just remove the player from the server.
So annoying.
There were so many occasions in this game where Astralis just completely outplayed Liquid. And we talked about the preparation coming into this one, and Sonic in particular knowing exactly what to look out for. Well, there was no doubt about it. Astralis were by far the superior team in this matchup.
I mean, there is a bit of a Goomer moment to have here, where it's just, you want to go way back beginning of CSGO, where it was the Danes that were coming up with like banana control on Inferno, deep smokes, clever boosts, Zipniks all over the place. Pimp was a part of that. Yeah. I mean, it is true that they really have always had that tactical approach with the nades on Inferno in particular. They look like so strong there.
That is still the case. I think that Astralis in general, they have always paved the way of how you should play a banana, right? They were always the one coming up with the new ideas. They would have the simplified version of it with just a smoke and then straight up for the duel. They were the first one to do the triple Molotov that would clear everything. Then they came up with the second wave of utilities, right? You would take 2 players from A, they would throw their Molotov, they would go back, and then the B players would have Molotovs again. So they're like, everyone is looking at Astralis, and Astralis is looking at the future, right? That's what happens on Banana. They create the way they play. Now, listen, it's just beautiful. I just appreciate it deeply. Coming into Nuke, that was very well for Astralis. I think we still have a game on our hands, but Astralis, they control the pace.
I was just about to say that I enjoy a good smackdown sometimes. When you see a team play this well, it doesn't matter whether the game is competitive or not. It doesn't matter if Liquid are good enough in order to go up against Team Astralis. If you're good enough to do like Astralis did right here, and you're good enough to smack down a team like Liquid, you gotta basically, you know, appreciate the fact that somebody can play Counter-Strike at such a high level.
You appreciate the beauty of top shelf CS.
You
and I agree on that, Pimp. You and I agree on that. And well, another man who appreciates that beauty and who strives for it every day, we have an interview with Zonic.
Zonic, congratulations on winning the opening map and Liquid's map pit to boot. I want to ask, did you change the game plan based on the match on Thursday when it was the same veto, essentially?
No, I think that the last time we got off to a rough start, but at the end we kind of catch up and we got some good rounds going on our CT side. And this time around we just continued that streak, so we got a good start. And then they came back. I mean, they just adjusted really well. And then on the T side, I think that we were pretty much in control, but had to adapt a little bit. And then it suddenly just got a bit scary and reminded me a little bit about Odense. But then, yeah, we managed to close it out.
You did indeed. Now, Bahrain, this is a special place for you. You have family here, and you have family literally here watching you. So what would it mean to get to raise that trophy in front of them?
It will mean the world to be. My father used to live here for 20 plus years and worked for Gulf Air as a pilot. So he's not here with me anymore. So for me to come back here and then win a trophy for him would mean a lot to me.
Well, Zonic, good luck on Nuke. I mean, you had a laugh when you were in the veto with Glaze, so I have a feeling you're quite confident about this one, so I'll let you go get ready, and thank you so much. Let's head back to the desk.
Thank you very much, Frankie, and glad to hear that Zonic still feeling confident, despite obviously a little bit of a rough start in the tournament. I mean, when we got in against Liquid the first time around, he's getting flashbacks. Here, however, looking very solid. Astralis, they do still seem like the team to beat.
They have every reason to feel confident if you're Astralis right now. Not only in terms of team play, they seem to be in shape. They seem to know what they want to do and execute it well. Individually speaking, everyone is present. You know, Dupree is even overperforming if you consider the past few months. He's actually having an incredible tournament. Device doesn't even need to be Device. He doesn't need to be a genius. He can just hold the angle, get the shot he needs to, and that's enough. The team plays on point. I mean, they have everything. Plus, they're going to Nuke. Can you imagine that? They just won it forward. They got a Nuke. The
that's
Garden.
what we should focus on now, right? Nuke, that's coming up. What is it that Liquid need to do to actually have a chance here versus Astralis? Because this is Astralis on Nuke.
The vent dive.
Yeah, you know what? The vent dive is one of the things. They need a strong CT hold in general, right? Vent dive is going to be one of the things that Astralis is going to throw at them. They like to explode towards ramp as well. Basically, Astralis is one of those teams that like to play around the rotations from Team Liquid. So I hope, again, as I said before, that Adrian and the lineup itself have done some preparation. They cannot be fooled by what Astralis is doing on the T side. They have a strong T side Astralis. You see they're winning 48% of their rounds on the T side, which is way more than Team Liquid. So if Liquid want to stand a chance of making this game, you know, a 1-1 and go to a third map, they need a strong hold and a strong start on the CT side. Pistol going the way of Liquid is needed in order to get this one going.
Absolutely, and there is a duo that you need to keep an eye on. To me, that's going to be Naf and Elige, right?
Sure.
If you think about the first time these two teams met at a tournament, Elige and Naf were doing a tremendous job outside, and they were going out of their way to be aggressive. You would see Elige go to that red box trying to get the fight. You would see Naf starting lower with the AWP, punishing Astralis. You will need to constrain Astralis outside.